Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. My name's Jim. You can find us at babyboomertales.com. Once you've arrived at our website, there are links to places you can hear our podcasts like Spotify and Apple and YouTube. There's a link to our Boomers General Store, home of the famous Baby Boomer Tales coffee mug. You can contact us at babyboomertales@gmail.com. Let me suggest a silver oldie from January 2020. It's episode 53, The Class of 68. Talks about my life in the public school system from kindergarten until I graduated from high school, and the friends that traveled that road with me. Our unusual facts are about shoes. The left and the right shoe was invented in 1817. Before that, they were called straights, and people like our founding fathers didn't have to figure out which was their left and which was their right. It's amazing to me that somebody like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson had these shoes that didn't have right shoe or left shoe. Perhaps the Roman soldiers had left and right back in the day. Converse began producing the Chuck Taylor All-Star basketball shoe in 1915. It was kind of an athletic shoe for all around. Before that, they really didn't have anything except for running shoes that came about around 1860. The oldest leather shoe is about 5,500 years old. They found it in Armenia. It's in a museum there somewhere. This is the top 10 55 years ago. That's the top 10 popular songs this week in 1969. Number 10, Spinning Wheel, Blood, Sweat and Tears. Number 9, Good Morning Starshine, Oliver. Number 8, Grazing in the Grass, The Friends of Distinction. Number 7, Love Can Make You Happy, Mercy. Number 6, by Three Dog Night, One. One is the loneliest number. Number 5, Too Busy Thinking About My Baby, Marvin Gaye. Number 4, In the Ghetto, Elvis Presley. Number 3, by Creedence Clearwater Revival, Bad Moon Rising. Number 2 is the love theme from Romeo and Juliet by Henry Mancini and his orchestra. And for the 5th week in a row, the number 1 song is Get Back. It's by the Beatles featuring Billy Preston. Get back to where you once belonged. When I was a kid, I always wore those Chuck Taylor All-Stars by Converse. I had white ones and I had black ones. I had high tops and I had low tops. I think I learned to tie my shoes on a pair of those Chuck Taylors. As I got a little bit older, though, about 3rd grade, and I talked about this in a past podcast, the Trading Post started selling a pair of lace-up boots called Sluggers, and it was very popular with grade school kids. I had a pair, but I missed my tennis shoes, and they didn't really last long for me wearing them. Now, if I had to help my dad outside building a fence or something, I'd wear them. You know, easier to dig a hole wearing a pair of boots than a pair of canvas tennis shoes. Once I turned 18, 19 years old, I started wearing moccasins, a knockoff of what the Native Americans footwear. And I really liked that stuff. I really did. But I always went back to tennis shoes. Now, I had a pair of Oxfords, and I always were fascinated by penny loafers, but I never had any. You know, you put a penny in that thing by where a tongue on a lace-up shoe would be on your slip-on shoes. When I went to work at the Trading Post, I always wore cowboy boots. The store would furnish me a pair every once in a while. I'd get a new pair of boots. That was very nice, and I had several pair of very nice cowboy boots. Now, I never really went in for the snakeskin and all that stuff just because, well, they were more dress-up boots, and it took me a while. It really did take me a while, but it started when I worked at the Trading Post about dressing up. I think I did eventually have a pair of lizard skin. Do you know what I'm talking about? Fancy cowboy boots can be either ostrich leather or snakeskin or lizard skin. Something kind of exotic. Some of them are quite handsome boots. They really are. And I don't have any boots from my time at the Trading Post. And there's only one reason behind that, because some of those last almost forever. For some reason, about the time I turned 40, possibly, my foot size changed from a 10.5 to a 12. So I had to go with larger shoes. Now I have a grandson. He wears a 13 or something now, and he's still growing. But from a 10.5 to 12, I had 10.5 from the time I was about 6th grade until I was about 40. Then they went up a size and a half. When I moved to Kansas, I started wearing Chuck Taylor All-Stars again. My little mowing business, I always wore the high-top Chuck Taylors. One time, about 13, 14 years ago, we were getting ready to take a vacation to the Middle East. And my wife came bringing home 2 pairs of shoes for me. One was like a hiking shoe, not a hiking boot. She knew I did not want hiking boots. I tried those before and I did not enjoy them. And the other was a slip-on shoe. It was considered a mock, not a moccasin, but a knockoff of what an old moccasin would be. They're shoes that have probably a rubber bottom, kind of a sturdy shoe, and I really loved those. But they only lasted me about 2 years and they fell apart. So I went and found from another company a mock type shoe. And I have those shoes today. They're about 12, 13 years old. I believe in spending good money for shoes, or should I say, I believe in not sparing any expense on a pair of shoes. This is where my wife and I differ. She claims she can get several years out of a pair of shoes, and she can buy 3 pair for what I pay for 1 pair, and apparently volume is more important to her than quality. Drives me a little crazy, but I'm not going to buy cheap shoes for myself. Now, I'm pretty cheap on almost absolutely everything. Looking for the best deal, maybe foregoing a brand name that I really like for something that's very, very similar that carries a lower price tag. But I will not do that with shoes. I won't. I just have to have good footwear. I'm not that hard on shoes or anything, but I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of a weirdness in my brain. It all started, I think, going to a discount store, and all they had were like wide sizes. And I don't have a wide foot. It's not narrow. It's just medium. When I sold shoes, you had width on A, B, D, E, double E, stuff like that. The E's and double E's are very wide. The A's are very narrow. A D is considered average. So I'm a 12D. Those mock shoes that I had, that I replaced the old mock shoes that I went to the Middle East in, became so comfortable, and I wore them for every occasion. Unless I really had to get dressed up. I'd wear them to town. I wear them to work. I would wear them everywhere. One thing I always had a problem with is finding house shoes that I liked. I used to wear moccasins around, but I like to walk up to the mailbox and stuff, and a pair of soft-soled moccasins just do not get it going out to the mailbox. Now, the mailbox up and back is quite a ways. 650 feet from my house to the mailbox. That's quite a ways. And so I needed something with a sole, and I tried several things, and either they were so crummy, because once in a while house shoes, I would break my rule about expense and buy something cheap and it fall apart or it's uncomfortable or I didn't like them. So now, about a year ago, my wife started giving me problems about these comfortable old shoes that I had. I had one granddaughter. When she was little, she used to stand on my feet and want to dance, or me walk with her, her feet on my feet, that thing. And she broke the counters in the front over the toe piece, so those were kind of caved in anyway. And my wife started telling me how ugly my shoes were, and I looked like I was so poor. And she was embarrassed to be seen with me, and she was embarrassed for me being out there around people with these terrible shoes. And I'd say, but there's nothing wrong with the shoes. They're comfortable, they're sturdy, nothing's going to hurt them, basically. Well, to make a very long story short, because I'm all about keeping peace in the house, I got another pair. They're like an upgrade from what I have, because I couldn't find exactly what I had, and I think my wife would have nixed that deal anyway. But they're from the same company, and they're okay. At the same time, I bought a new pair of Converse All-Stars. I hadn't had any of those for years. I didn't like tennis shoes or basketball shoes, and I'm not going to spend $200 for a pair of, overpriced tennis shoes anyway. I know, I spare no expense, right? But some of that's ridiculous. You're paying for the popularity of it. So I was surprised how much these cheap canvas All-Stars cost, though. But I got myself a new pair of low-top black Chuck Taylor All-Stars, which I do thoroughly love. And I wear them all the time. That's my go-to shoe. But if I have to go something that you dress up a little bit more, I wear my new mock type shoes. But my old shoes are now my house shoes, and they're the best house shoes I ever had. They are so comfortable. Once in a while, if Kim's not looking, I might run to town and get something with those shoes on. I'd still be wearing them as my primary shoe if she didn't insist. And I know that she's trying to take care of me and she cares about me and etc. I do understand that concept. But where I'm going with this is I found these shoes years and years ago, and as far as I'm concerned, they'll be with me the rest of my life. I wear them more than I wear any other shoe anyway, a house shoe. I don't really go around barefoot too much around the house, so I have them on a lot, and so I wear them every day because I'm pretty much around the house. Do you have a friend that fits you just like an old pair of shoes? Do you have an old pair of shoes that's your favorite shoes? I have a friend. His name's Rusty. And even if I haven't seen him in a year, when we get together, he's kind of like those old shoes. In a lot of ways, I know he's around, and yet there's nothing he does that makes me notice him or any of that. He just fits like a glove or like an old pair of shoes. He's just so agreeable and easy to have as a friend. Now, I don't know if he feels that way about me or not. That's not important. I'd like to think that I'm like an old pair of shoes. Not too pretty anymore. Kind of if I'm going to go out, I've got to polish myself up a little. Really think twice before I go to some fancy event. I'm not going to impress anybody, even if I tried. In fact, if I tried to impress somebody, I know it would backfire on me in a second. I've just got to be me, old and worn. But I'm still sturdy. I'm still agreeable. I'm still always there when you need me. I might have been expensive at one time, but now you don't have to put a nickel into me for me to be on the ready to go, ready to do whatever you want to do or wherever you want to go. They say a friend's a friend to the end if he's truly a friend. That's how I feel about Rusty. That's how I feel about these shoes. Begin each day with a grateful heart and always be kind. It's good for your soul. Thank you for riding along today. I'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.